Ryan here from Life Action Roleplay, here from the Editing Bay. So, a few notes for today's podcast. This came from WhedonCon from our What is LARP panel, and I just want to let you all know that we're here giving general advice to a live audience. So, some of this might be repeat for you, but it's interesting to see what kind of questions an audience who was not very familiar with LARP had for us. And keep in mind that the advice that we give is based off of our own specific experiences within our own LARPs, and we definitely reference some of the LARPs that we're used to. We also mention a lot of local LARPs here in this particular podcast. You'll hear questions from the audience, but keep in mind that there's no mic, so I considered editing it out. However, I thought it was actually nice to hear the audience ask the questions, so I tried to raise the volume when possible, but it's still going to be very faint. But it's so that you can hear the back and forth between the audience and us. And as a note from me producing this, we're going to alternate between the podcasts that we record here with Sin and Kai with the podcasts that were recorded at KublaCon called the KublaCon series. This way we can get Sin and Kai, my co-hosts, who I love so dearly, available when we have those recordings with us, and then also keep the KublaCon recordings that I had by myself with our guests still in the podcast. So we're going to alternate between the both. And before I forget, I definitely want to thank our Patreon subscribers for keeping this podcast going, especially the entity or the person or persons known as the Eyes of Petra. Thank you for your generous backing of this podcast and of Blank Slate, and especially our subscribers, our supporters, Talon Hack Bowler, Fei Liang, Vivid Vivka, Aaron Ludlow, Sam Sanchez, Treasure Kalafa, and Twin Mask LARP. Thank you so much for your support. If you feel like it's within you to support, we have our Patreon available under Life Action Roleplay. And you'll see some updates from me from the podcast as well as production notes for Blank Slate. And now it's time for the episode and playback. And we are live. Welcome to Life Action Roleplay here at WhedonCon.
Come on in.
We are.
No, I actually was checking to see if my husband came in.
Someone could roleplay your husband.
I mean, I got at least 29 years on me. Let's do it.
So as I mentioned, we are here at WhedonCon, which is taking place at Los Angeles Hilton near LAX. And I'm here courtesy of WhedonCon, so I want to give a big shout out to my friends Jen and Lori for arranging this. Thank you so much. And I want to introduce the panelists that are here. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. I'm going to go in a circle. Oh, by the way, circle because we're lying down on the floor.
Yeah, we're on the ground.
Yeah, we hurt right now.
Carpet, now you're touching your face.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't
It's
want...
okay, I got strong skin. I'll be good.
Oh, you say that now.
Look,
but I think Catherine's right.
If I get a disease, I will bear that responsibility. I will mantle that.
Anyway, who are you?
Who are you?
Oh, I'm a stranger talking about my own diseases. I am PJ Megaw.
I'm Courtney Kraft.
And hey, I'm one of the hosts, Cynthia Marie. What's up, y'all?
All right. And our co-host Kai wants to be here, but he himself has been trying to recover from sickness. So so we love you, Kai. Just
miss you.
we understand. We miss you.
Get better soon.
Yeah, get better soon. Also, that's it.
Yeah.
We are
Yes.
rolling around on a rug.
Rugs only collect some of the diseases. I'll be fine. I'll be totally fine.
Oh, and we have our moderators. What are your names?
I'm Brittany.
Hey, Brittany. Hey, Dalton.
Hey, Dalton.
So in case you guys are wondering, we're also simultaneously recording a podcast, so if you guys have any time to listen to it, it's called Live Action Roleplay. We're usually about 20, 30-minute segments about different aspects of LARP.
Mm-hmm.
Life, not live?
Life.
Yeah, action role play.
Yeah, it's kind of playing off the term live action role play.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, our topic for today is what is LARP, which is a very broad topic because we want to keep it general to talk about anything and everything. But before we begin, do we have any shout-outs that we want to give to anybody in the internets?
Shout out to Hollywood Forever. That was a great game last night. That was a very intense game. Shout out basically to all the role players out there who are just killing it and bringing it and having fun, strong games. Yeah.
I'll give my shout out to Origins Game Fair, who's hosting my 20-year plus Star Wars LARP this weekend. It's the first time at a brand new convention for us, and we're going to have a lot of fresh blood, and it's going to be a very different game, so I'm very excited. So thank you for giving us this opportunity, Origins.
Yeah. I want to give a big shout out to you two that came in here today for this panel. Thank you very much for being curious and popping your head in here, and I hope we can answer all your questions and make it worth your time.
All right, and my shout-out is to WhedonCon and to my cast of Blank Slate, where we concluded Season 2, City of Petra, before I introduce Season 3, which will be happening in a month. Season 3, Blank Slate, Gone to War.
Woo, nice title.
My city.
Yeah, your city.
Right.
Your city. All right, so topic at hand is what is LARP? Such a broad topic. Where do you want to begin?
Well, why don't we define what it is for people who've never heard of it before? So I guess simply put, LARP stands for Live Action Role Play. And if you've ever just played make-believe as a kid, you've LARPed. Done.
Pretty much,
I think the big difference between a LARP...
Had a job, you've LARPed.
Yeah.
Especially when someone's like, how are you doing today? And you lie through your teeth, I'm great. Welcome to so-and-so.
You've LARPed.
You LARPed.
You LARPed.
If you've ever pretended to be someone you're not.
Should call it lie action role play. No, that's terrible.
No.
That's terrible.
I'm not drunk. I'm just role-playing.
It's like, no, I'm good. Don't worry, I'm good. No, that guy's not good. But yeah, live action role play. Do you want to say anything else?
I mean, I agree with everything all of you are saying, but I think we'll probably go into the two different types of LARP so that people understand what that means as well. So the two that I'm most comfortable with is Parlor LARP and Buffer LARP. Parlor LARP is where you can go into essentially a club or a parlor, and you can actually run an entire LARP inside a nightclub, such as Vampire. There are different rule mechanics that you use that kind of are hidden so that other people aren't ruined by their immersion. Buffer LARPs are handled outside, or I mean, I guess you could do it inside, but mostly outside.
Yeah.
And as I like to describe it to my coworkers, I get to hit willing people with foam swords.
So, like, D&D is like Parlor LARP, and Renaissance is like outside.
Sort of, kind of.
Oh, that's actually, yeah.
That's a good one.
Because one thing about the outside LARP, the Boffer LARPs, is that there's still that D&D storytelling, the element of fantasy or sci-fi, depending on where you're going. But physical combat and physical action doesn't have to just be fighting. It can be anything else. Like we've had weddings at our Boffer LARP. We've had funerals. We've had funerals. We've had dating auctions. We've had talent shows. We've had so many live events that were just soccer games. We had a Royal Rumble wrestling tournament.
That's right. I was part of that. It was super fun.
Yeah.
Talk about the talent show.
That was one that I danced at, actually.
And there's going to be another one coming
I know.
out.
I'm excited.
So the talent show, the place that we mostly do the Boffer LARP that we all go to, which is called Twin Mask down in Corona. Right now it's at Kberg. You know the Ren Fair site, Kberg? Are you familiar with that site? Cronenberg. Kberg for short? No, it's okay. It is a year-round site that is constantly kind of building up and keeping itself active. We meet there, and there's a theater on the premises. And what we did was we had a talent show where a lot of the players and the characters came in. They did poems. They sang songs. I danced. I actually had a dancing competition with someone who's basically like an Irish or Scottish Highlander, however you want to look at it. And I won, but only because I cheated. And Look, I did not define the style in which I was going to dance. That did not give me an advantage at all.
Nope.
Yeah, but it was just fun, and I think the winner took some in-game currency home with them that day. Yeah.
So essentially, it's embodying your role play, like as if you're walking out into a normal city rather than sitting at a table and role playing your experiences.
Exactly.
Yeah. By the way, for our audience, if you have any questions, feel free to just shout them out. Like, we're here to also answer your questions.
Absolutely.
But please project so we can hear you and they can pick up on the mic.
So buffer LARP, BOFFER.
Buffers are the things you hit people with. Like buff.
And then the other one's parlor.
Yep.
Yeah. There are two other terms that when I did interview Ryan Galeotto at KublaCon, he actually had a couple of different terms that he's used because he comes from Chicago. And the terms that they used were descriptive and active in terms of, and I thought that was really interesting because the idea is that if you are physically getting around and hitting somebody, that's considered active. Otherwise, you're descriptive because you're narrating what you are doing when it comes to doing different powers, doing different hitting somebody. And so when you're not physically hitting somebody, which you are doing actively, you are describing the scene.
Or you might be in a dungeon or something.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. I've heard stories where LARPers will go dress in character to an escape room or to any number of places that could be dungeons in LA, and they'll have a scene or a game where they're in this new ambiance. It's fun. It helps with immersion.
The whole point of the LARP is pretending to live a different life and pretending to be in a different world. So right now we're in this very basic panel room in a hotel. But if Ryan was running a game, he could say, we are at a nightclub where the vampires are, and you kind of use your imagination and assume that is where you are, and you just embrace the space. Really good, like full immersion LARPs. You feel like you are living in that world.
Yeah.
And part of it is the environment that you play in and everyone really committing to the costumes, committing to keeping their cell phones away and just being in that character and in that space the whole time.
So I have a question. How do you get ready for that imagination?
That is an excellent question.
That's a very loaded question. Prepare to hear a lot.
So the question is, how do you get ready for a LARP? The first thing you need to do is learn the rules, because every place has a rule book, and they tell you, how do you interact? How do you create a character? What are the safety rules? How do you do combat? Because a lot of these things have violence in them. So read the rules, talk with someone who has played the game, and they can teach you a lot. Like, I've mentored newcomers coming into game and be like, okay, here's what I wish someone told me before I got into this.
Yep.
So you want to learn the rules. I think the next step is kind of creating your character and putting together a costume. I don't know about you guys, but for me, the costume really completes and gets me into character.
Yeah.
And then...
So to riff off of that point with character creation, to me, I've seen two different schools of philosophy. There's the people who pick the archetype of, I have an idea if I want to be this, and they kind of create their character based off the rule set off that. Or there are the people that are, I want the rule set, I'm going to be crunchy numbered, and I'm going to min-max all my numbers set so that I can have the highest powered character here. And then they create from that way. So depending on what type of person you are, I'm an archetype type of person. So for example, I like to play the kind of lovers, seduction characters. So I'll build my costume and idea off of that, and then I'll go to the rule book and say, okay, so what supports that sort of character? And if the rules don't necessarily support it, then I have to kind of rethink how I want to be the character. But for you guys on the panel, how do you guys create your character? Are you guys more the archetype? Are you more of the min-maxer? What is it that you do?
I kind of approach it, and this is going to sound so pretentious, I approach it like an actor, because I grew up doing acting and improv and stage combat first before I ever got to this. So my thought is, okay, what is the character like? And the great thing about most LARPs is they will have a giant culture packet telling you what the world is that your person is from. And so for that information, I go, okay, so this is, I guess, more of an archetypal base. But then you have to ask yourself, am I going to be a caricature of the nation, or am I going to be the exception of that nation? Because it's very, very commonplace for people, not even you, but other people in the LARP to go, oh, you're this, that means you're that. And that's not fair to you. And that's also not fair to them. But it's very common because human psychology dictates labels exist for a reason, tribes exist a certain way, so if you're blank, that means you're blank. Now it's up to you to go, okay, so I'm this person. How can I grow that into an identity, a being, someone who actually lives and breathes? And that's kind of where I go from. I play the town drill sergeant from a very militaristic nation. And I could be like, frat boy, like, oh yeah, military, blah, 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 blah. But I wear pink. And women inspire me to be a better man as a character. Like I'm deeply shy, and all these things that. And here's another thing. Last but not least, kind of like how cosplay is always evolving, your character is never done growing. You may go into a game going, these are my 3 character traits, and then by the end of the game you're going, these are my 4 character traits, and the next game you're like, these are my 10 character traits, and you're always learning about yourself. And like I've been in Twin Master for 1.5 years now, and I'm still learning about myself.
There's also that trait that you toss out. You're like, never mind, not doing that.
Yeah, I used to be that. Nope, that doesn't work anymore. No one likes that trait. Get rid of it.
Courtney, what about you? What's your?
I think I'm definitely archetype as well. As I kind of recently discovered after joining Twin Mask, I tend to lean towards agile, dual-wielding, dark magic ninjas. It's kind of my thing, and I didn't realize that it was my thing until I had Twin Mask. I went, wait, that's what I made for Dragon Age. That's what I made for my Star Wars LARP. Well, I guess I have a type. So I guess when I was discovering Twin Mask, someone was, I had my friend coaching me and telling me about the rules and the nations, and he was listing off the nations, and I heard one called the Nadine, which is basically like Goth Sparta. And I said, that's me. I want to be the goth kid from Gothtown. And then to continue with PJ's idea about archetype versus playing against type for whatever that class is, the Nadine are known for being, dark and militaristic and evil and cutthroat, and only the strong survive. And some people play into that archetype, and there's definitely a stigma that comes with playing that type of character. And I ended up doing the opposite version. Like, I was forced to live there, but I'm not really like a typical Nadine. And that tends to happen. You can go with type or against type.
Yeah, so I kind of think of a concept once I talk to someone about the world, because for me, rules will tell me how things operate, but I don't really know the world until I talk to people who have played in it. Mm-hmm. Or in certain cases like Twin Mask, I was there for the very first game, so it was a matter of talking to the storytellers. How did they imagine their world? For the first game of Dystopia Rising NorCal, which is a post-apocalyptic zombie LARP, our co-host Kai, who's not here today, runs that game. But post-apocalyptic is not my genre at all. But I had this really silly concept of I wanted to play a person whose family had worshipped Mario, as in the Nintendo Mario, and those people had lived that life in order to survive the zombie apocalypse. So he came in dressed as post-apocalyptic Mario, and his name is Marion Tendo. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the mythologies over the fall of humankind has distorted the story of Mario, so he follows the path of the invincible star. The idea is that you must, it is his profession as a priest to get people to reach their castle, not the princess in the castle. The princess is an illusion. The princess is their own person. You must find your path to the castle. And the things that are in your way are either the glooms, which are the deep internal things that block you from your castle, or the turtles, the things that are external that prevent you from getting to your castle. But you must avoid all of these obstacles or clear them to reach your castle, and whatever your castle is different from everybody else's castle. Mm-hmm. So that is his priestly philosophy inspired by Nintendo. And I carry a really big POW hammer.
I was going to say, you had to talk about that. He has this amazing practical boffer weapon that is designed like the POW block from the old Mario Luigi fighting game, but it's in the shape of a hammer. So it's this POW block hammer. Thing is gorgeous, and it smacks pretty well. Like, it's not. And that's the thing. We talked about lightest touch LARP. I think there needs to be some extrapolation there. When you have an active or a boffer LARP, there are different types of what we call touches. Lightest touch, which is basically a 45-degree, like, Mm-hmm. Good, you can hit me. It's okay.
Yeah.
There you go. And the whole idea, it's meant to be enough so you can go, I got hit. That is cool. I will do this 2 more days, and then I'll be fine. And then there's things like, I guess shout out to Amcar and Bellagarth that are like, did you not come to get bruises? Boom! And I think we jokingly refer to them as hardest touch. So and one is like all war all the time. There's not, they don't really stress stories so much as get in a line and beat each other for 2 days. I think the other one's like wear actual ring steel, carry a blunted sword, and swing for the fences. And those are those games. And that's a different extreme. That is for a different type of player.
I'll bring up as a rather lithe female, I love our lightest touch. It hurts, but it doesn't hurt in the way that you think. Like, you are getting smacked. Like, it's no big deal. But I hear a lot of women kind of shy away from the fight aspect because they're really afraid that I'm going to bruise or this is going to really hurt. Everybody's really great about taking care of one another, and I know for myself as a combatant, if I see another lithe woman, I am not going to go up and like try to wail on her. I'm going to hit her enough that she recognizes that was a touch. Mm-hmm. So I want to encourage female role players that if they are interested but are a little hesitant to find out if your if your game has practice sessions, so you can go play with the players and actually find out how hard they hit, and learning the right communication of saying, hey, that was too hard, and teaching other people how to hit, because I have fought against somebody who is a very hard hitter, and it hurt. Like, it left me a bruise, and I was like, hey!
Was that Wayland?
Yeah.
Oh,
hey!
Wayland's like a 6'2" tank of a man.
Yeah.
He's a unit, and he's used to throwing hard. Like, he's respectful of the rules, but he...
So, a fun and interesting story was during one of our practices, and so when we came to a game, which was actually a year ago, because one of the pictures just popped up on my Facebook, we had a tournament, and thanks for laughing at me already.
No, it was a tactical misstep. You're fine.
So I'm a spear fighter for reasons, because like I said, I don't like to get hit, so having a spear, I can actually get people further away from me. So we get called out for the tournament, and it's basically a free-for-all. They have a bracket. It doesn't matter, like, if you're a guy, girl, if you're a knight, if you're a scrimmager, it doesn't matter. So for my culture, I play kind of the desert, he calls me the desert princess, so if you could think anything desert video game or anything like that, that's what my character looks like, Assassin's Creed, whatever. So I get put up against the tallest giant knight, full plate and everything, and it happens to be the fighter that had to bruise me the other game, and I was like, this isn't gonna be good. But when he came to fight me, he knew, because of what had happened, he pulled all of his what we call blows or hits. It was one of my favorite fights that I ever lost, and I lost in like 3 hits.
Now, to be fair, the tactical misstep, and this is not against you or him, it's just one of those things where, like, you know, they say style makes fights in MMA and boxing, and the issue is that he was a sword and board. Now, for those of you, like I said, Wayland's 6'2"-ish, and his shield is about the size. Stay there for a second.
Yeah.
His shield is
like
almost
four
her
and a half.
height.
Because he's so tall.
Because it's like his waist is about here on him, so the shield's measured to his waist. So when she went into a fight with a shield, against a shield her own size. Great. With a weapon that is thin and long. So that's like trying to get a skewer through a wheel of cheese. It didn't go very well. And that's not to say her ability isn't on point, because we did some spear dueling. She's fine. It's just, there's nothing you can do with that. You can't fight around that giant shield.
And I found out later he was imbued with magic, so no matter how many times I hit him, like, his hit points weren't going anywhere. I was like, well!
Yeah. He walked through that tournament, but it was also still good. There was a lot of really good matches. Daniel Hargis versus, I think, Soul. They had a really great tete-a-tete. They were exhausted afterwards.
So, again, just trying to encourage folks that if you're scared of the combat, really talk to the person that you're fighting with, because it's a lot of fun. Yeah. I honestly, walking into the Buffer LARP, was really, really scared to get hit, and I'm okay. Like, I mean, I've got a couple of hard hits with some arrows coming straight to my face, but it happens. It's cool.
I've been hit in the nuts 4 times.
I always feel bad.
Especially from, like, Hunter, who's, like, slightly smaller than me, and he's got a wicked backhand, and he's like, 5 damage! Yeah, nah, buddy, that's 5. That's all 5.
5 to the nuts. So on kind of like the flip side of this conversation about combat, one of the neat things about a LARP or any RPG is you can do whatever you want. So if you are not into fighting, let's say it's just not your thing, that's not the game you want to play, you usually have that option in these LARPs. Yes, there's going to be monsters out there that want to kill you, and maybe your tactic isn't to fight, but it's to run and hide. But there are plenty of people in these games who play bards, or they play merchants, or they play tavern keepers, and they just want to make money. Or there's people who play politicians, and they want to play the political game. There are mages who want to study all the cool magics in the world, and scholars. Like, you have that option as a LARPer, and I think that's just what I love about the bigger LARPs is you can be anything you want to be.
Yeah. So speaking of bigger LARPs, who is excited about Disneyland Star Wars LARP?
I am going this Saturday.
Oh,
I have no idea when I'm going.
My God.
I know nothing about this. I need to know more.
Okay, so ever since Disneyland unveiled the Star Wars experience, it is pretty much a LARP. And I feel like between that and Universal Studios with the experiences of
Harry Potter.
Potter, like that world is so immersive that if you are dressed as a student from Harry Potter world and you go into Universal, they treat you like a student. And here in Star Wars, the idea is also the same. Now, they're not going for any, obviously, no named characters or anything, but if you dress at least in the style and you go into that world, they will treat you like a citizen of that world. And even if you're not, they will still treat you like a citizen of that world.
I've been doing research because I'm going on Saturday.
Okay.
So for one thing, one of the rumors that I've been hearing, so I'll find out if this is true or not, you have to pack quite a bit of money with you if you want to buy the thing that you're end up building towards the end of it, for one.
Okay.
I won't reveal what it is. If you know what it is, don't say it because it's actually really cool, and I'm saving about $250 to buy the thing.
Okay.
Then there is an app that you are supposed to download onto your phone, Disney Play. That's right.
Disney Play.
That app. And you can choose which side to be, Rebel or a Sith. And they actually lead you through games on your phone. So while you're interacting with the castmates, you're also plugging things onto your phone. So that's where the immersion starts to come into play. So you're actually playing a game and you're trying to find certain items in the world.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really cool. So I think for the cast members, it sounds like it's basically a full-on LARP for them because every day they're walking in and playing these characters. For folks who are coming in for the first time, it's a light LARP. It's a light immersion, which it's really exciting. So more details to come from me on Saturday because I'm real excited to go play. Boo! I'm going as a rebel.
Nice. Maybe next episode of the podcast, you can tell us all about it.
Yes.
Do you guys have any questions about LARP?
Some money. So what was that? Some kind of currency.
Oh, yeah,
when's
in-game
the money?
currency.
Yeah.
So every system has their own currency in the game that you can use to purchase things like materials, weapons, spell scrolls. A lot of people like to go in games and sell things themselves. One of my old characters does tarot readings. So I make in-game money by doing tarot readings or selling jewelry. Some people sell scones and baked goods, and it's a way of getting money.
Some people dance.
Some people dance, like Cynthia.
I danced one time for money, twice.
Yeah. It depends on the LARP.
Yeah.
Not all LARPs really use currency. This Twin Mask does. My Star Wars LARP doesn't really. We say we do, but not.
I feel like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I do not want to give false information, but I feel like most parlor LARPs tend not to focus on the currency, because one of the biggest differences between parlor and boffer, besides of course the physical action, is I think the length of the story being told. Parlor LARP is more condensed and more confined. Is not the right word. Just cozy. It's everything that's happening in that room and the afters that you report to staff later about what you're doing outside of that scene that happened in that room. But with Twin Mask, DR, NorCal, Bloodlines that just got started, Last Frontier, a lot of these other camper LARPs where there's fighting going on, they have an economy in place, traditionally not always, but an economy in place because they're having larger stories with a bigger marketplace, and it's like, I need to buy a weapon, or I need to buy a scone, or my friend the bartender wants to get me lit, so here's 2 silver, I'll take a blue or a green. Most don't actually allow you to drink alcohol, but they have in-game alcohols that are like Gatorade, so you don't get dehydrated, things like that.
Yeah. So for me, as a storyteller for a few LARPs, for parlor LARPs, instead of having currency, well, I think about economy as anything that you can trade for other values. So that could be favors. That usually happens in vampire. So favors, boons, or also influence. So influence is supposed to represent I have some kind of value that I am trading for this other thing, rather than.
Could you potentially be a robber baron in your world?
Totally.
Oh
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I mentioned that economy system is because I didn't want a game to be hung up on, well, you have $50,000, you need $100,000. Instead of like nailing it down to very specific numbers, we just say you have enough money to do whatever the thing is, or you need another set of that value to do whatever it is, because the economy will also determine how a LARP functions, not just the fighting, but how do people interact with each other. And often it's a system of either trading service for service or a valuable thing for service. Like if you want to, you mentioned Dungeons and Dragons. Some people are going to fight that dragon for money. And they're risking their lives to do so. So it is a game, it is a system where economy is just as important as the rules and the mechanics of the fighting. And sometimes the economy is not really explained very well until you actually play. Because then you realize, oh, this is more valuable to this person because they need this iron thing to build this sword, and that becomes a value.
I was also going to mention the flip side of it, the lack of economy. When we all played Last Frontier, where it was all being built that first game, where it was the Wild West, where everybody was just grabbing things, and there was no political system put into place, and by the end of it, we had a political system and somewhat of an economy kind of set up. So there are ways to work on it. But I want to rewind back all the things. So we have talked about what type of LARPs there are. We've talked about what type of character creations. We had questions about costumes. That's probably one of the next step of getting ready to go to a LARP. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So I have heard feedback that people get a little intimidated about pulling together a costume because maybe they're not a cosplayer, or maybe they don't know how to buy that kind of stuff, or they don't have the resources to buy that stuff. So the first thing that I will say about costumes is that you can usually pull stuff out of your closet. And you can purchase things for very little money. Amazon is a great resource for very inexpensive things that look awesome. But for me, creating my characters is usually about the costumes, because I came from a cosplay background and a performance background. I've been a dancer all my life. So putting on the wig and learning to do the makeup and putting on the costume is what really creates that character. So for you guys, costume-wise, how do you feel about purchasing items? Where is your most inspiration coming from for costumes? Costume things, ready, set, go.
So right now, I'm here at WhedonCon, and we're about to run the WhedonCon LARP. And since the WhedonCon theme is Dr. Horrible's Superlative Fanfic, and I'm coming as Dr. Horrible, the only thing that I bought is this lab coat. But everything else is stuff that I already had at home, because the idea is that it gives off the impression that, yes, I look like Dr. Horrible, but I don't have all of the exact things. But as long as people understand and you communicate that this is who you are, people are pretty forgiving about that, because, again, it's all about imagination.
For me, it depends on the type of LARP, because if it's a modern day setting, it's really easy to just go in your closet and wear what your character would wear. So, for example, with this Dr. Horrible LARP, I'm going to be playing Faith. So she just kind of wears jeans and boots and a tank top and a jacket. So I just rummaged through my closet this morning and found what I could. But if I'm doing a fantasy LARP, like, I will go on Amazon, I've gone on Wish for stuff. I actually like to do a lot of shopping at conventions, because you'll find people who sell these kind of costume stuff at cons, which is funny because I don't cosplay at conventions, but I buy cosplay at conventions. And I've also been doing Dungeon Master Theater for years, and so I've just accumulated all this stuff. So I feel a little bad having to buy more costumes, but not really, because I love finding that perfect piece that just kind of completes your look. Because to me, costumes are very important for me to get into character and to feel like I'm that character.
I don't know, I'm weird. I've never needed a costume to get into character, but I will say that there are some instances where there is that final bit of something that does really only kick in once you see yourself in the costume. I also believe that it's like your character. It's a constantly growing thing. When I first made my first ever LARP character for Twin Mask, like almost 2 years ago, I had a red shirt on. Like that was I had.
That's it? Like just a red shirt?
No pants. I was Winnie Poohing it. No.
Wow.
Straight up Donald Ducking it. No, I had a gray long sleeve thermal shirt that I pretended was chainmail. I had a red shirt over that and these pants, which I still use to this day because they're just, I don't know, I'm lazy. But and then I eventually got my pink gambeson. It was supposed to be blood red. It was supposed to be. But the dye never took, and I gave it to my friend to dye, and she comes up to me and she goes, it's a light brick color. And I said, Cassie, that is pink, and I'm wearing it. Snatchy, give it to me. And so now it's become my character's color. Like, he was never meant to be a pink boy, and now he's the pinkest of boys. I have to wear pink all the time. It's wonderful. But it's a growth thing. Amazon is great. Wish is great if you want to come 3 months later. And be in the wrong size, but I recommend it because it's super cheap. So let's go on the Wish app if you want something cheap. And I feel like it's a process. You'll find the little knickknacks at the con that add something. You'll find that really cool thing on Amazon. Just know the character you're trying to be, and then dress for the job you want. Do you want to be Wonder Woman? Dress as Wonder Woman.
Always.
And hair and makeup, too.
Yeah, hair and makeup. So, first off, shout out to all the women and men who are seamstress who can actually,
Yep.
Wow, okay, can we just take a minute to, look how beautiful her hair is?
Wow, that is some beautiful hair.
Look at that mane.
Okay.
Wow.
Heck yeah.
It was too tight on my head.
Yeah,
I don't blame
love
you.
that. Yeah, wow.
No, this is glorious.
Wow.
Your hair is also very nice, Leia. I don't you feel like...
Big reveal.
Folks who are listening, one of our audience members just took down her beautiful, illustrious mane, and we had to take a second to appreciate that.
It's like that scene in the movie where everything goes slow motion, and then it's like, what?
So back to it. Shout out to the seamstress who can actually sew their own costumes. So that's another aspect. You don't have to jump on Amazon if you're like, I got this. I got a pattern for this and trim for that, and you can easily make a lot of money off of
I love giving my LARP friends money to make me things. It might be more expensive, but you're going to get quality, and you're supporting small business. You're supporting friends. Yeah. I'm commissioning a tunic from a friend that's costing me $185 because it's linen and it's hand tailored.
Yep.
I'm commissioning but I need it for summer because as being a goth kid from Gothtown, wearing black in the summer sucks.
Yup.
So she's making me a purple linen tunic so I won't die. And then I commissioned another friend to make me a cover for my tent so I can look more period and camp.
I need to do that too.
Nice.
Section, yeah. So I'm all about giving those seamstress friends money. Cassie's making me some leather sheaths for my daggers. They're still in the works, but just
it's a lot of fun. Yeah. So then hair and makeup for us ladies and gents who prefer to put on that guy liner or some epic makeup.
Nemo rocks a good smolder.
I taught him how to do a smoky. I taught my friend how to do smoky eye, and now he just rocks it. It looks amazing. Amazing.
So my favorite place to shop for wigs, if you're an LA person, Santee Alley has some really great gems that I have introduced a lot of my girlfriends to, and they're like, "How did I not know this was here?" And she
shopping with you there is amazing.
I still
so
have
much
that
fun.
Wig. I still have that amazing wig.
Oh yeah, that's right. So basically all of these, I've taken all of them to my shops in Santee Alley. It's amazing.
I look Fabio gorgeous.
For anybody that's outside of LA, find your local fashion district, fabric district. You find some really solid gems up in there for good measure. Otherwise, Amazon has been my go-to for wigs. You can look up YouTube tutorials on the best wigs on Amazon. Charisma is one of the first wigs that are all lace front. We could talk about lace frontals and non-lace frontals and all the different things later. That's a whole other topic. But YouTube videos are the best for those type of aspects of trying to figure out what your face and hair looks like.
Especially if you're doing an animal kind of character or an alien. There are a lot of makeup artists on YouTube who will walk you through how to do it. Yeah. So I learned how to do deer makeup by just watching someone on YouTube and mimicking what is up.
Yeah.
And if you want to play an elf, or as we say in Twin Mask, a Fendel, there's an amazing number of elf ear prosthetics that you can wear, silicone-based, plastic, all these things, and there's different glues and epoxies you can use to further get that elven Effendel look, and I know many that just get the ears, and if they have long hair, they just literally cheat and cover the rest of their ears up, so it's just hair and then ears.
I have the ears in my car.
Yep.
Yeah, YouTube is a great resource for a lot of things, not
Twin
just...
Mask group or a world, or both?
It's a game. It's the name of the entire game.
Yeah. So it's the game, and there's a lot of communities in it. Right now, I think we have somewhere between 350 and 450 active players in that community. There's a number of different social medias they're on, so forth and so on.
Yeah. Would it be the same thing as saying playing D&D or playing EverQuest or?
Yeah, a lot
It's
like that.
just the title of the game.
It's just exactly. And when you like walk in and plays D&D and you say a level 20 barbarian, they know exactly what you mean.
As I was about to say, there are lots of different YouTube tutorials when it comes to creating your own LARP character, including costuming, makeup, but also making buffer weapons. I mean, you still want to have them checked by whoever safety marshals are there at the particular LARP, as well as just coming up with different content and character backstories. Like our friend CW, actually, he does not have like YouTube tutorials, but he does have a website that deals with like a lot of character creation and things to scenarios that you might be dealing with, and how do you deal with all of those things, as well as the live action roleplay podcast. We address many of those issues.
Yep. So real quick, so we've got our character down, we have our look going down, we've learned all the rule sets, we kind of have our character sheet ready to rock and roll. What's that final touch that you're getting ready to go on the road, or you're getting ready to head over there? I know for me, I have 1,000,001 playlists on Spotify to get myself into that character mode, or like how that character is feeling at that moment. That playlist changes. Like I was listening on my way over here. I was actually listening to the Last Frontier one.
Nice.
I have Inara's suite on there. I'm playing Inara in the LARP that we're about to do. So yeah, I have all the musics going on. So real quick, what's your guys' like last minute, like you're about to arrive to game to get into character?
Deodorant and baby wipes.
That's a thing.
Wow, yes.
You are going to be, for a lot of camper LARPs, we'll be camping for at least 2 days in the sun, in the dirt, in the heat. And like we said earlier, there's a Friday shower, which is the last shower you're going to have. And there's a Sunday shower, which is the first one you're going to have when you're home, exhausted and triumphant. So wear deodorant, get some baby wipes, brush your teeth, be a good hygiene person.
And bring extra socks.
Because you get funky fast. I stink fast.
Where do you LARP?
In Cronenberg.
Is that the only LARPing
For
there's tons of them. Different LARPs will have different areas depending on the one you join. Some are in Rancho Cucamonga. Later, Leia. For everyone at home, Leia's going to the escape room now. Have fun, be safe, make good choices. Rancho Cucamonga, Glendale. It depends on the LARP, really. There's tons of them.
Nice.
Awesome. You want to be superhero/supervillain? There's a superhero LARP out in Rancho Cucamonga. Yeah. I'm Captain Liberty. I haven't been since like the one game I went to, but I'm looking forward to going back.
I'm Cora. I'm Cyborg. Anywho.
For me, I'd say packing lists. About a couple days before, I just start writing down everything I need before I start packing. And then when I do my Star Wars LARP, it's actually indoors at a hotel, and I have this really cool white cape someone made me. The process of just ironing my cape and just getting to focus and get into that character, I think that helps. I love steamers too, but I usually go to hotels and they have irons, so I just work with those, That's another thing to pack. Iron works fine for the cave. It's fine.
And packing lists. So yes, Ryan, what do you do?
I'm more concerned about, like, once I get there, the big things I always remember is that always remember to hydrate. Always. You never know when you're thirsty. If you are feeling cranky, check. When is the last time you have slept? When is the last time you ate? When is the last time you drank water?
When was the last time you went to the bathroom?
Yeah, how many times have you been to the bathroom? You want to go to the bathroom a lot. And it's because if you are playing a virtual world, which is, in this case, LARP, you want to make sure that your basic needs are handled so that you are at your best when you're role-playing with other people, so you're not taking things personally. If you're not feeling well, inform other people. You want to make this as fun of an experience as possible.
I want to piggyback one small thing. I'll make this as brief as I can. Be honest with yourself about your conditions and your traumas. Some people use LARP as a therapy, and I think that's good to a point. But when you are suffering an anxiety attack, it's never a good thing to push through that for the sake of whatever you perceive to be a good reason. We've had some times where we're like, hey, we're going to have this really fun war game. We're going to fight each other. It's going to be great. And some people who have already had anxiety earlier in the day are like, I want to do the thing. You totally should. But if you get to a point where you can't do it, please go take a few hours to rest. We'll be here when you come back. Be really check in with yourself. Be honest with yourself. If that's something you can handle at that point in time.
Yep. Term is opt out.
Yep. Self-care is always important.
Self-care is always important.
Yeah. So just
all right.
Wrap it up.
Do you have a health professional at those events?
Yes, there's usually medical staff.
Running around in a forest, hitting people.
Yeah, they have radios. If something happens, we call someone, because we've had times where there have been accidents.
Yep.
Someone had diabetic shock and they had to be taken to the hospital. So we definitely look out for that stuff. We highly encourage listen to your body, ask for help if you need it, take breaks. And it's very important.
And medical staff is not just the physical; it's also you are reacting to something that you are not able to deal with. There is a group that will take you aside and give you at least an isolated space where you can decompress.
Yep.
So that's not common in all LARPs, but you appreciate the ones that have them.
Big time.
Yeah. All right, we are here at the conclusion of the panel here. Where can everybody find each other on social medias?
Oh mine's long. So social media, Twitter is at Syndancer, CYNDANCER. I'm actually a lot more active on Twitter now these days because of LA by Night. So yay, we're entering episode 3. Good Lord. Otherwise, you can find me on Instagram, Cynthia__Marie. That's where you can see all the pictures of my LARP costumes and costumes in general. See ya.
I'm Courtney Kraft, and you can find me on Twitter at the Anime Goddess. I also perform in Blank Slate with Ryan on twitch.tv/Scabby Rooster, and you can check that out on Tuesdays.
My name is PJ Megaw. That's MEGAW, like the Mega W. I'm very unoriginal. All my social medias are PJ Megaw, or some variant thereof. So look me up. I'll be right there.
All right, you can find me under Ryan Omega on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter under Ryan OMGA. And on Tuesday evenings, usually I will have a show called Blank Slate, which is a live stream LARP.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
All right. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you, WhedonCon, and thank you, audience. And until next time, bye! Bye!
It was a pleasure meeting you, by the way. Hopefully, it makes you feel too embarrassed by your